Okay, hey everyone. I want to start off by thanking everyone for coming today for our Exportal webinar. We're happy to have you all here. So tonight we'll be focusing on electrical engineering, and we'll be having a special guest, Jiayu, who is an electrical engineering student at NYU. So she'll be sharing some of her insights on her experience. So without further ado, let's get started.
All right, so this is just a rundown of what we're going to be doing today. So first, we're just going to go over what Exportal is in case some of you don't know, what electrical engineering is, education pathways for that career, the required skills, and then we're going to introduce Jiayu, and she's going to talk about her experience, some job opportunities that she's had, the challenges and the rewards of the career, and then just like a day in the life of an electrical engineering student, her current projects, and then we're going to have a Q&A session at the end. So prepare some questions. And yeah, we're just going to get started. So before we start off with electrical engineering, we're just going to give a brief overview of what Exportal is. So Exportal is a student-led initiative that brings experienced technical career professionals to conduct hands-on STEM workshops in schools across New York City. So some of the things that we've done so far are bringing in hands-on STEM kits to Leap Learning, which is a tutoring center. So we've been doing that. Workshops like these where we bring in experienced professionals to come talk to students. And we've also been bringing in some schools, some speakers to Staten Island Tech as well. So far we've had speakers come in from Google, DI Group Architecture, ACE, just to name a few. And we've reached over 550 high school students. And we're just working to bridge the gap between students and career professionals, especially in diverse STEM industries. All right. So, Michelle, you want to give a little bit?
Right. So electrical engineering is a field that focuses on the study and application of electricity, electronics, and electromagnetism to develop and improve technologies. Electrical engineers design, develop, and test systems that involve power, electronics, and communication technologies. They work on things like smartphones, power grids, medical devices, and more. And some key areas in electrical engineering include telecommunications, computer engineering, electronics, signal processing, and photonics. Electrical engineering is important because it powers the devices and systems we use every day, which makes life more efficient and connected. Right, next slide. So for some education pathways, in high school, you are suggested to take physics and math classes as well as drafting. And then when you get into university, you should take classes like Calculus 3, differential equations, circuits, electronics, signals, and systems. And some programs that you should take include classroom, laboratory, and field studies. And while you're in university, you're supposed to participate in internships and co-op programs to gain industry experience. And finally, your university experience will culminate in earning a bachelor's degree in science in electrical engineering or a related field that's ABET accredited. And some universities also offer this 5-year combined bachelor's and master's programs for careers in research, development, or teaching. And here are some of the required skills that you would need for electrical engineering. First of all, you would need concentration skills because electrical engineers have to design complex systems and components, and all details and design elements have to be managed effectively. You also need to take initiative because you need to be able to apply your knowledge to new tasks with each project and keep up with advancements in technology. You would also need interpersonal skills because you would need to work with others to help implement plans and monitor technicians, as well as solve problems when they arise during the process of manufacturing. You would also need math skills, as mentioned before, in subjects like calculus and advanced math, and as well as reading skills to be able to clearly explain designs and instructions to technical teams, as well as customers who aren't so familiar with these technicalities. And finally, you would also need writing skills to develop publications related to creating equipment. All right, so now we're going to be introducing the guest speaker.
Yeah, so like Ashley said before, Jiayu is currently a senior at NYU, so very impressive, and she's majoring in electrical and computer engineering. So just as her, like we're talking about her work experience, she will be joining the Eversource Energy Group as a distributed energy resources planning engineer after graduation. And her previous experience just includes interning at Chevron as an electrical power engineer, working on electrical distribution design, and she's participated in the ACE Mentor program during high school, which is actually a program that many Staten Island Tech students are participating in at the moment. So yeah, I'll hand off the mic to Jiayu if you want to. Take it from here.
Hi everyone. So I'm Jiayu. I'm a student at NYU, and that's all introduced. So I'm gonna just get started with the presentations. And so being an electrical engineer, you do have a pretty positive job outlook compared to the other fields. As many of you guys may or may not know, so now the comp sci, computer science jobs are going a little bit crazy now. Many of the current software engineers got laid off, and the current graduates can't find entry level jobs. But electrical engineers still in a pretty stable setting compared to the other fields, I would say. So there's a 7% increase in job opportunities for the next 5 years, I would say. And then because many of the current electrical engineers are getting retired, so there will be a significant number of job positions open in the next few years. So there will be great opportunities for you guys. And for me, I got more offers when I applied to jobs than my friends. They're in different majors. So I would say getting into electrical engineering now is a pretty good time. And there's a very broad disciplines in electrical engineering. So you can pick between like working in tech, telecoms, power, utility companies, or manufacturers, or aerospace. There's a very, I would say, like a pretty much everywhere. There's a lot of opportunities for you to consider, and it's important for you to develop your skills and know what you want to work on while you're still in school. So getting internship opportunities, working co-ops is great for you to not just put it on your resume, but more for you to explore which is the ones that you like the most. Because I did my internship in my freshman year, and then I didn't like working in electrical engineering for buildings. So that's more mid voltage power systems. But then I tried another internship working with high voltage powers. And then I like that more, so I stick with it. And that's how I got my current job offers. That's for utility companies. So next slide. So there are challenges for being an electrical engineer. If you get your PE, professional engineer license, you will need to be continue educated because you need to maintain your license basically. So not only that you need to work, at the same time you need to keep up with your technical knowledge, so that I believe it's like once 2-3 years there's a period of time you need to retake your exam to maintain your license, to prove that you're still a professional engineer. But it really depends on your job decision and your company. So you may or may not need to take the PE, but always keep up with what you're working, and you need to learn new things. That's like that stands true for all electrical engineer field. And there's safety hazards. Electrical shock, we don't really have that many at this stage. And as an electrical engineer, you're more the designer, not the worker. But we have a lot of standards, national standards, industrial standards, your company standards, and rules that you have to follow when you work so that people don't get shocked. Like whoever's working in the field, they need to we need to make sure that they go home safely by the end of the day. And you as an engineer need to make sure that your design is safe for them to build it. And a lot of stress from high school, from college. I think that's pretty common that you need to expect, like you have a heavier workload than going into other fields and other majors. And then it involves a lot of sitting and standings because most of the time you're going to be in front of your desk, in front of your computer. But it's a little bit better than pure computer science majors because you still need to sometimes go to the field and check on current projects and see the progress. And then after you go through all the challenges, there's many more that we are not listing it here. You can ask us questions later on. But then we do have a really high earning potentials. The average salary is actually pretty high, I would say. The number listed there is actually higher than what I know, but that's good. And then 91K for starting salary is not bad, depending on what location you're going to. But yeah, that's a pretty good starting salary. And then every salary within that range, 84K to 109K. I would say that's pretty much for entry level engineers with less than 5 years experience. If you have more than 10 years experience, that will be higher. And depending on the field you're going into, but most of electrical engineers have pretty stable work schedule. Work-life balance is better than a lot of the other STEM majors. Like I do expect to have 15 days of PTO, like pay time off for a year. And I'm not expecting working any overtime for my like full-time job unless it's like emergency. So we do have wind duty. So when there's storm or anything happens that, because my work location is in New England area. So when there's storm like snowstorms or very windy weather and any location got shut down, we do need to go out and fix it immediately so the entire city is back to power. But that's for my case, more like specifically for utility companies. And other companies, I'm trying to think. So my friends, he will be working in more of PCB board, like PCB designs and chips designs. They will work like their working hours going to be different than ours, but it's really depending on the field, the company, and your position. But we don't hear much working overtime stories compared to my friend who's working in quant. So that's good. And we do have excellent job opportunities. That's mentioned in the previous slide. It's pretty stable still. And well, if you, I think the last part really depending on who you're talking to, but you do gain well respects by the society or by people around you. At least you, as soon as you go through your college, you've been through a lot. So congrats. And if you actually make it there to be a real engineer, good job. But yeah, next. So how to get started on this career? First of all, you need to have some sort of degree that's in the engineering field. We see electrical engineering, that's most of the time preferred, but not necessary. A lot of the time, if you're like computer engineering or mechanical engineering, depending on which job position that you're applying to, it could be also like qualified. ABET accredited. My programs is actually still working on ABET accredited. For NYU, pure EE or CE or Comp, like those are ABET accredited, but for my major it's dual, electrical and computer engineering. It's not ABET accredited yet. So the only impact for that is when you're taking your PE. So you need to, most of the students prefer to take your fundamental of engineering exam. That's your FE by the time you graduate or before you graduate college. And then you become an engineer in training. After that, you get a job, you work under a licensed engineer for 4 years, at least 4 years. And then you can take your PE, professional engineering exam. But as I said, like the PE is only thing that will be impacted by the ABET accredited institution. Like that's the only thing that matters for New York State. I know if you're not graduated from a program that's ABET accredited, there is a chance that they won't allow you to take the PE. But for my job specifically, my company is not requiring me to take the PE in the future, but it's always encouraged to do it because once you get it, you get a stamp, so you can stamp on projects, and then companies normally give you promotions, give you salary raise. If you want that, sure. But another thing I mentioned before, you need to maintain it. And to a lot of the professional engineers that I know, they prefer not to take the exam because they don't want to spend more time outside than work studying. Wow, like because you do need to take exams in the future. It's not like you pass it and then you get the stamp forever. I think that's like you need to consider before you actually going to that route. And then constantly trainings and educating yourselves. That is up to yourself and also up to the company's duty. Like the company is responsible to train you so that you have the skills and ability to complete your work. And I think there's a misunderstanding here a lot of the time. Like I remember when I was a freshman, when I looked for internships, I was like, oh, I don't know anything. How am I going to find a job? But the companies, most of the companies, they do understand that you're still a college student, you're an undergrad student. So they won't expect much from you. It's more of showing that you have the ability to learn new stuff. And a lot of the time, they won't expect you to know like thousands of things. Like you already know how to use I don't know how to design an entire like complete power grid systems. that's not possible. And to be honest, a lot of the times different companies use different standards and use different softwares. Knowing one software, it's more like you need to show them that you have ability to learn faster and able to adopt the new technology or whatever software that they are using. So networking, I think, is the key when you're trying to look for jobs, because that way you're talking to the recruiters or even your hiring manager face to face, or you just talk to them maybe on LinkedIn, so they know you as a person more than just skills, words on resumes. And then continue. You work for a few years to gain experience, yes. And then, yeah, the 4 year thing is for the PE too. You need to work at least 4 years. And I feel like stories that I've heard, you will get higher paying jobs or like promotions as you go through your career path. It's not like something that you really need to stress about. It will happen naturally when you're there. Like, it's not like there's sets of standards you need to meet and you need to like move on. I know for software engineers, they have different levels. And then I think for us, electrical engineer is more about your skill set and your experience. So a lot of the times, depending on the projects that you worked on and how your supervisor sees you, it could be really different, because I know people who like get promoted in 3 years, and I also know people who just stay in the same role for like 5 years. But just work to your best, it will happen naturally. Like, that's the most I've heard so far. Like, don't stress out about getting higher pays and or like, you know, you have to get promoted or stressed out about that. But one small trick though, if you find out that you're staying in one company, the same position for too long, that you feel like you're not growing anymore, a lot of the time people just switch jobs, go to a different company, and it's almost like a standard that you get at least 10% salary raise when you jump from one company to another. So if that's something that you're looking for, you want to challenge or you want to switch environment, that's like one path to go through. And take the PE exam. Yeah. Like, one good thing is if you start preparing your PE exam after you get a job already, most of the time the companies pays for you to study to take the exams. So they will not only have the licensed engineer looking after you, but also they sponsor you basically to take the exam, because that's like a win-win situation when you get the P. So they're always encouraging it, and if you want to do it, just take advantage of that. Next. So day in the life of a, that's just my life, not everyone else's. But yeah, I go to lectures, like I do take notes sometimes. Depending on the way that you prefer to study and how your professor teaches, because I I listen more than taking notes, because my professor's going to post the PowerPoints. So I pay more attention listening. And in terms of how many lectures, this semester I'm only taking 3 classes. So I don't have that many lectures that I need to go to. I only have, because one of my class that I'm taking right now, that's for my senior project. So we don't really meet in lectures. We're just having set up individual meetings with teams. So technically, I only have 2 lectures that I really need to go to, and then it's like for my school, it's so one class, you have 2 lectures in a week. So I only need to go to 2 classes. So I only need to go to 4 lectures in total in that 1 week. But my junior year is very different. I took 5 classes. So every class is 2 lectures. So in total, I need to go to 10 lectures for that week. But lectures are, in my opinion, not the worst. I think the labs are the worst. So being an engineering student, you do need to basically all your major classes, or like for me, I need to take some CS classes. Like all the ECE and CS classes I took, I have labs. Every class, I have 3 hours of labs. Sometimes some of them is biweekly, some of them is weekly. So most of my time outside of lectures are in labs, and 3 hours sometimes is not enough for you to finish the work that you need to complete. So you might need to stay longer or go to open labs, and that's the, I would say, most exciting part, but also the worst part being an engineering major, because you do have a lot of time in school, like compared to my other friends. How many time? I never really count that, but that again really depending on what courses you're taking for that semester, and I think more of what is your personal goal, because like I said, like my junior year, I was really busy focusing on coursework solely because I want to finish most of my academic work first. And then last semester, like my first semester of my senior year, I was just going to conferences, job hunting, like networking, talking to people. And then I spent a lot of time outside of class. And that's technically still my free time, but it's more about how you're going to plan yourself in the 4 years. Because if you're going to masters, your route is going to be different than the one that I have listed here. You might need to do researches. You might need to like talk to professors, do research, and then also staying in the lab for a long time. Or you're gonna work on your personal projects. It's really just depending on yourself, because I think that's the biggest difference for college students and high school students. No one's really looking after you. No one's telling you what you should do. All is just depending on what do you want. And for me, my freshman year and sophomore year was really just more focusing on school, including my junior year. But then the reason why I took a lot more classes in my junior year was because I want to leave some time in my senior year so that I can look for jobs. And then spending some time, I don't know, where did I get up to? Okay, grab lunch. That's, yeah, sometimes I don't even eat lunch, but that's not healthy. And sometimes if I have afternoon classes, I just eat before I go to class. So it's also depending on your class schedule. And when you pick your class, it's important to look for the professors. I know students who doesn't care about the professors. They just want the time that works the best for them because they're commuting from home to school. Um, for me, I have an apartment right next. I just rented an apartment next to campus, so I can just modify my schedule more leaning toward like better professors. And for them, they're more focusing on I just want to get all the classes done in one day, and then I have maybe like 2 days off in the week. So it's still like really just depending on what you want and how you want to plan your own schedule. And then homework. Oh my god, there's so many homeworks. Like I know some people who are from other majors. I don't understand why they have so much free time, but engineering students, all the engineering students I know, you have a lot of homeworks. Rate my professor is very helpful. Get the okay, depending on your personal, I don't know, like I don't for me personally, I won't go for the like higher difficulty professors when if there's like two professors teaching the same course. Cuz it's the same material, it's just the professor making you suffer more. Like if you're looking through the difficulty part, yeah, that's basically what it meant. And then but for NYU, at least if it's the same class, all the exams are the same. So look for the professor who can teach you better. Oh. Okay, then I don't know. Cause I think it's depending on schools too. I spent at least one whole day in my homeworks every week. Like whole day meaning like 10 hours minimum. Like, but not like one straight day. Like I just leave that one day for homeworks. I do a little bit like every day. So, but I never really count it. And sometimes depending on the deadlines, you have project deadlines. Those you need to spend more time on it. And then if you have exams coming up, you need to spend more time studying. But yeah, it really just depending on what classes you're taking and how heavy is the workload for that class. And then because I'm in my last semester, so I do meet with my project teams to just discuss our projects. And I hang out with friends. Like that makerspace part is also should belong to the projects. But yeah, after that I hang out with friends on weekends, Friday nights. I don't like it that our school make all the labs on Fridays, so I know some other schools they just don't have much classes on Friday, so they can hang out. They have like a small long weekend that's really nice, but we don't have that unfortunately. So, but Friday night sometimes we hang out and have dinner with friends, and then yeah, because I also this semester I already got my job offer, so I'm not really being pressured by anything anymore. I just want my degree. I just want to graduate. So I I do spend more time just relaxing. But yeah, but last year or previous semesters is completely different. But yeah, that's basically my day. And this is like our senior project that we're working on. There's nothing much to talk about to be honest, but we're like making it keyboard from scratch that we wanted to connect to Wi-Fi because we did like a market research before we started our project. There's no currently there's no any other products in the market that can connect to Wi-Fi, like a keyboard, wireless keyboard that can connect to Wi-Fi. All of them using all of them are using Bluetooth or just wire like cable connections. So we just decided, okay, why not we just design our own keyboard that can connect to Wi-Fi. And we're a team of 5, so everyone just did like a small part of it. We have someone in the team that's designing the PCB board, because I don't know how many of you have built a keyboard or break a keyboard before, but if you know that like bottom of all your keycaps, there's a one board, like there's one board that's your circuit board that connects all your keys and connects your keys to the computer. So we bought like a microcontroller module, and we're gonna use that to control our keyboards. So one of the team members working on the PCB design, and then another team member is working on the like more of the software part. We use Arduino here, so it's still more hardware technically, but it's just communicating between the microcontroller and the key sets. And then I'm working on the power systems because we want it to be rechargeable, but also it can work wirelessly. So we need to use battery. So I'm doing the load calculations. And then some other group members are working on like 3D printing, and then getting the key sets and testing, soldering. So it's basically everything that we learned in the past 4 years, but it's not like a big project. It's just showcase that, it's like what you learned in the past 4 years before you graduate. And yeah, that's our project. So in conclusion, it does take a lot of time and effort to become an electrical engineer, but if you like it and if you enjoy being an electrical engineer, I think you'll find your path. Like for me, a lot of the courses that I took, I don't like them that much. Like like I said, my major is the dual major, so I did take a lot of like computer engineering classes that I don't enjoy as much, and I also have to like I'm still taking it. Like there's 5 CS courses that I have to take, and that's how I realized I'm not gonna be a software engineer because I hate coding so much. But that's something that you need to go through. Like sometimes you do need to take classes or do stuff that you don't enjoy as much. But that's also a way for you to test out, okay, what kind of job that I'm looking is like what kind of job I'm looking for, or like what do I enjoy the most? Because I think also when you're taking the fundamental engineering classes and the fundamental like requires math courses, you can kind of find a pattern about what you enjoy doing the most and things that you just don't want to touch it again once it's over. And I think it's important for you to know what do you like, because electrical engineer, like not even ECE, like just pure EE, there's so many different paths in this one major. You can be doing like very high voltage, like what I'm doing, like working in utility companies. Those are going up to 125k kilowatts, compared to, you know, my friends working on PCBs. They are working with like lower than 5 volt chips. So it's very different. And I would just suggest you to try it out all out. Like when you have the opportunity to, you may not get the chance to take all these like classes until your sophomore year, junior year. But it's important to, that's why it's important to get internships, because I think also what you learn in school may not be the same when you're working. I didn't use anything that I learned in school when I did my second and first internship, but I enjoy my second internship a lot. That's why I started to take, like, I came back to school, I take a power class after my internship, and then I enjoyed that a lot. So I think it works out differently for every individual, but talk to more people. I think talk to your professors, talk to like any professional engineers that you know, because my mentor in my internship, he has he has a mechanical engineering degree, but he's working in power design. So I feel like talking to those people gives you like a better sense of, oh, what are the tolerance, like what are the possible paths. So you're not strict to one path, like, oh, I have to do this. Um, it can be very different. Like you can try out one thing and then you're like, oh, I don't like it that much. Like I did ACE when I was in high school. Um, I didn't like structural, I didn't like architecture, I didn't like construction management. So I was kind of like filtering out the things that I don't want to work for the rest of my life. So I picked electrical engineering and then I got into this major for my college, and then I realized like in my first internship, oh, I don't really want to work in electrical systems for buildings. Um, and then I just cross it out on my list. I try something else again, and I found what I like. But yeah, just try many things until you settle down. Because the biggest advantage of you guys is that the risk of getting anything wrong is very low at this point of your life. Even for me, like I can try many different career paths if I want to, and then because I don't have family yet, I don't have any like kids that I need to feed. Like I hear a lot of those stories from my professors. They started a startup because they were like being pressured to do it. Like if they don't do it, they have families, they have kids. They were basically pushed to the edge that they have to be successful for their startup at that point. So don't wait until that point that you're like being pressured and you realize, oh my God, I hate my job. That's a little bit, well, you can still work through it, but a little bit too risky compared to, now you can just try different things out, internships, co-ops, talk to different people, take classes. For me, I didn't have much flexibility in terms of my coursework because I'm dual major, so a lot of them is required. And that's also kind of like a regret for me. I wish I took my power class earlier because I do find out that I like this a lot better than the other CE classes that I took, like embedded systems, signals. Those are more like those are like a different field, completely different field. And I didn't enjoy it that much. But for you guys, if you're only going to electrical engineer, and you have a lot of chances to take like other classes. Like if you finish your fundamental or core classes in your first year, first 2 years, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of your classes. And then sometimes you can take graduate classes too. I don't think anyone. Oh, for my year, I didn't. I graduated in 2021 for high school. So it was the COVID year. I didn't have a chance to take my SAT, to be honest. For me, I just didn't submit my SAT. I mean, I'm not like I'm not that good at studying, to be honest. Like test taking, I think it's probably like below 1500.
All right. I mean,
It's not, yeah,
we can start to
but
open up the Q&A section though, since people are starting to ask more questions. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand. Thank you so much, Jiayu, for like sharing your experiences. I think that really helped some people figure out what they want to do, hopefully, and just learn more about what being an electrical engineer is like, especially in college. But yeah, just feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions and unmute. Yeah, Bente.
So
it's okay, it happens. Yes. Um, so I mentioned I did ACE mentor program, and I did it for 3 years of my high school. And out of those 3 years, 2 years I was in team 8. That is like that was the MIU team. So I don't know how much you guys know about ACE mentor program, but ACE helped me a lot in terms of just not just giving me the hands-on experience, but also when I applied to college, one of the recommendation letter that I had was from one of the mentor in ACE, and he's the faculty of like NYU. So I think also through that I know a lot more about NYU as a school before I even apply. And I did a semester of internship within the NYU facility construction department. So I think that's my reason for NYU, but and also they pays pretty well. Like they basically pays me to go to college, and because I get like a full ride and extra scholarships. So I think NYU is pretty good at that point.
All right. Do you have any other questions, Megan?
I was just curious if there were any like specific certifications that electrical engineers should be like or like need for their career, I guess.
Specific certifications. Your degree, um, the FEPE is encouraged, like highly encouraged, but not necessary. But most of the time, your degree is your certification. Even though maybe they're not like ABIT accredited. Um, if you have a degree, that's like sometimes like the first step. Like you need to qualify. Like if you go through any of the job descriptions, like first one, if you have a bachelor or master in electrical engineering or any related field, most of the time are listed like that. So I would say your degree is your certification. Other than that, for me, working in power engineering, I don't really require to have like a PhD degree. But for my friend who's working in PCB like chip designs, he does need to go through like all the way to PhD. So it's still depending on like what you're going to. Summer Institute. Oh wait. Oh, someone asked about my final project in ACE. there's no really like final project. I feel like the entire semester we're working on one project, like since day one. So I guess like because I did it for 3 years, so I have like 3 different projects, but there's no like final project, but I kind of don't remember much. But yeah, I think also depending on your team, because some teams compete in the, what is it, CIRT, is that the competition? Some of the teams, they do compete in competitions, and then some of the other teams are just doing projects for their own team, so that's different. And then what is Tri Engineering Summers Institute? That part I'm not really sure. Oh, that's a resource. Let me look at it quickly. I think also because you guys are all from tech, you actually already have a like pretty good experience in terms of all kinds of engineering. Like I did my first Arduino board and soldering when I was in tech, and then I never soldered until this year after I got into college. So it's also really depending on what your focus is when you're in college.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. Let's see. Ocean. Oh, okay. Yeah, Ocean.
Oh, ETAP.
Hi. So you mentioned like internships and like experience and stuff like that. So like what tips do you have for like students who are actively trying to obtain experience? And like jumping off that, how easy it is in your opinion, is it in college for you to have those opportunities?
Um, I think networking is my biggest advice. I know like a lot of people who apply online a lot, but sometimes if you talk to your teacher, talk to like your professors, you might ended up getting a better internship or like a lot easier than just applying online, because they can give you like a referral, or they just know someone who's looking for interns. For me, I feel like my experience was relatively easy compared to the current job market, because I did go to a lot of conferences. Like I said, last semester I went to 3 different conferences, and 2 of them are for students. One of them is for just professionals, but they're free for students to go. Like a lot of the conferences, if you're a student, you can go for free. Um, I met a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people there, and ended up I got 4 offers at the end. I was able to pick from those 4, and some of them, like the one that I ended up accepting, I got a referral from someone in that company, and then I had the entire like interview job offer process done in a week, because they know that I had another offer waiting for me to decide. So, but that was just for power, and also just from this year's experience. So it might be really different for the next year.
All right. I think that's all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much. I know. If you have any other questions, would you be able to answer them in another way besides through the Meet?
Yes. You guys can email me. Just
Yeah, don't bombard her with questions though. She's a busy
I'm gonna
student too.
type the email there. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 emails because the another one I don't check as often. Other than my email. So just one of them, just email me, and then I will reply.
Thank you so much, Jiayu. And thank you to everyone who came today and was asking questions. We all really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's about all we have for today. Thank you everyone for coming. And Jiayu, we hope you um, enjoyed talking to us and answering the questions. And I hope everyone gained some knowledge from this as well. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.